Welcome to the Listening Room, presented by Shaw Contract. I am Sabine Rothman, and I am very excited to launch this series with Primo Orpilla of Studio O+A. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
So I'm wondering, how does humor contribute to a dialogue that works?
I think we all know the seriousness of the pandemic, and I don't think you don't necessarily in those situations when we're going to be in charge of bringing people back to spaces, and those spaces, they're fraught with fear and anxiety, and we feel like the best way to disarm that situation so people actually look and maybe pay attention and change their behavior is through a little levity and good design. Honestly, a lot of came from people are going to be coming back. All these years of creating these wonderful spaces, mostly in workplace for us. And the idea of joy and collaboration and socialization was a big part of the workplace. And also heads down work and concentration and all these other things that we do in the workplace. But we felt like there's going to be a lot of anxiety. And if we could do something to like make you focus for a second, yes, bring the temperature down, bring the anxiety down, and maybe a fun sign that tells you to wash your hands or put on a mask, or a fun sign through graphics telling you to not have you not hug somebody today. Things like that are sort of in a jokingly way pointing that this is a serious situation, but we can kind of look at it through a different lens and see that it is not all dim and grim, but there's actually some good. We are changing behavior to make a healthier office at the end of the day. If we adhere by some of these new routines, we won't have this again as severely as it hit us. So to me, it was very much about, let's return to work. Let's not lose what was good about the workplace. Let's sort of reimagine and then tell people, these are the things that you have to do in order to be safe when you come back to work.
I love that you've put together this pandemic toolkit, and that has some very very detailed instructions on how we can come back into the work environment. And then these posters that you were talking about, which are quite lovely. I love these little monsters. I love the flowers and the message.
We're hopeful that when people use these, you actually have fun in sort of guerrilla posterized spaces, right? The last thing you want something like this to do is to just go unnoticed. So like a more institutional piece might be very direct and might be very important, but over time, you're just going to kind of dart past it. The idea here is that you're going to find something new every time you look at it, right? Is that a germ? Is that, what is that little character? And, humorizing this, really, really serious enemy, if you will. But we've sort of made it something that you understand, a very tangible thing. And these are things that we know will spread the COVID. So we want you to kind of make sure you clean your hands, you close the lid when you flush, you don't aerosol, you're very kind of smart about the way you go through your day. Work outside, right? Get fresh air, fresh ventilation, washing your hands. These are all things we could, if they were in your bathrooms, you'd kind of like stare at that, and it give you like a real nice peaceful reminder of like, oh, I should certainly think twice about this. Use your own equipment, use your own pencil, right? It's don't pick up anybody else's device or any of their tools, because you have to be careful. You just can't be as casual as you were before. So we thought by making them more visually exciting and a little bit comical, people would read them. And that was really the point. These are all downloadable. Every one of these are sort of free for you to put wherever you need, because the posters are one way of identifying something. And then in the toolkit, we have little stickers or little pieces that can go on a wall, in a bathroom, on a floor, outside of a conference room. So they're very meant to be very tactically placed and fun.
And people can get them and download them.
Yeah, it's on our website. It's translate. I mean, it's people use them all the time. And the whole toolkit is in there. And the reason behind the toolkit was not everybody's going to have access to a facilities department or a group that can do this for you. So we felt like if we can put it in a really nice little format of a checklist and with locations, and then at the end of it, the coordinating stickers, it gives somebody at least a plan of what to do to a lobby, to an elevator lobby, to the restrooms. All these things are, we're going to have to change the way we approach those rooms. So we need a little bit of guidance. And we felt like the best way to do it is with some interesting little stickers or signage, plus the instructions of where to put them. Let me share my screen. So for instance, here's like a typical lobby that has some soft seating, that has a coffee bar. The idea here is that you want to create these paths, and along these paths, you'll have stickers, or you'll have furniture. So this gives you a layout, and we've keyed it. So there's a little legend to the right. There's a checklist to the left. We call them opportunities, and then diagrams, and then reference. So we give you the lobby reception layout, lobby lounge, and you can kind of see a little bit more detail of how you might lay this out. So it gives somebody, not just the use of plants, plastic panels, but with planting, we can kind of create separation, what to do in a restroom facility, signage that you can put outside, disinfecting light, lids that close automatically on the toilet seat, things of that sort. You may not do all of these. The idea is that you at least understand the concepts of, in an elevator cab, face towards the wall. Probably in this size cab, you only can get 2 people in it. Larger cabs, you can get 4. But then it ends on these stickers. So each one of these describes the 6 feet separation, when's the last cleaning, hand sanitizer, check, all these things done in bright, kind of really well designed little formats that they're all numbered, so you kind of know where they go in the facility.
Well, I like also you have those the round dots that say 6 feet apart, and I have been in a few lines lately where they've had this, and I think it is great because that part almost becomes like a game where you're sort of
Yeah.
on
Yep.
this dot, and the more lovelier they are, the more you want to stand on them. I
Yes.
also like in your drawings that you always have people in them. So it's not just it's these plans and these axiometric drawings and all kinds of, sort of checklists and information, but there are always these tiny people going through.
Yeah. Gives you a little scale, and we actually have an illustrator, one of our designers. She illustrated all the fun cartoon scenes that you see in between the book. So you can kind of see we touch every room. And this section here, these are all in-house, done by Sarah. We create these. These are not something that you buy online.
Well, it's a really generous act to create this, I think, and just make it available to people, to anyone.
Yeah. And I think our first thinking was, during the shutdown, but we figured, we should do something so we could make it available. So we had to learn a lot of this, right? I mean, we looked at the healthcare industry, we looked at the science behind some of these things in some countries that had dealt with this before, and that's how and plus we read every article, whether it was a opinion piece or whether it was a scientifically grounded piece, and that's how we culled the data. And this is supposed to be an ever-changing document. That's why we made it downloadable, because it will change over time. And honestly, we thought, everybody should have something to go by, and with all the pieces and parts. So we made it available to everybody.
Well, thank you for doing that. And now I want to open up to questions too. We have one comment, which is that this would be incredibly helpful for healthcare, and hospital environments, which of course is true. But now every environment has become sort of a health a health center in a sense.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I think, when you're, whether, an office building, queuing up in the lobby of an office building, trying to get to the elevator, you need to have a queuing line and some protocols, right? Basic ideas so that you don't, our goal was to actually try to maintain the building by having all the cleanup and donning and doffing and all these specialty rooms up in the front of the building. So by the time you enter the building, you're kind of like, you've removed a lot of it, right? You removed a lot of it off your hands. Maybe there was a donning and doffing area similar to healthcare where you take your shoes off and your jacket and you leave outerwear, sort of like a mud room, and then you have innerwear. So these are, I mean, some of these ideas are pretty extreme, but for a healthy work environment, maybe this is something you do.
and of course, there's a lot of fear right now too. So in a way, the humor kind of cuts through that. You
Yeah,
just you have to be careful. You have to do these things, but we're we're human beings who want to connect, who want to collaborate, and so this is one of the ways we can. Uh,
yeah, yeah. And
mhm.
there's a lot of things that companies can do to even improve that. So in the center of the book, there's the section of the psychology of returning back to work, and it talks about how much you need, how much you want to change, or transparency. So in the space, why do people come to work, for connection, right? But these things, you can see the people in there are still wearing their mask. You want to communicate what you're doing. You need to kind of reiterate things like how many times you're cleaning the building. All these things are going to help ease the stress and
Mhm.
in the tone. Transparency, be honest, communicate, and trust goes really far in creating and lowering the anxiety. Having empathy, feeling for others, realize that this is going to be tough for a lot of your coworkers. Education, teach. You need to continually be teaching the protocols and sort of the new norms in behavior. Trust is a big deal, and the way you can do that is kind of continually show the cleaning, maybe have the cleaning during the afternoon instead of the evening, so that people can see that you are taking care of the facility, cleaning the facility. Greenery, nature reassures. So philobiophilic um, product and design helps relieve stress and anxiety. Flexibility, giving the choice of places to work. A lot of remote working, a lot of this thing is going to change the way we work, but people will still be coming to the office. So choice is really important. Visibility, a lot of these things, the protocols and things need to be very visible, be very apparent. People are going to be, relationships are important. They will be craving these, but we need to make sure that we establish new workplace protocols so that we don't, get too close and kind of continue to spread it. And respite, areas of breaks that may be just adjacent to your office or within the office. So people can, maybe there's an area where they have blue light, areas that can kind of help rest the mind because the stress levels will be kind of high. So those are some things that we're thinking about, need to be employed in the workplace. At the end of the day, it's our behaviors, and if we can modify those, we can do a lot. We feel like as designers, we have a responsibility to kind of design in a responsible way. We were going to make sure everybody had an opportunity to have this document because not everybody has access to a designer either.
Thank you so much for being here today, and thank you also
Absolutely.
for using your talent and your skills to create safe spaces that we can return to when we return to work.
Thanks, Sabine. Thank you so much. And it was wonderful talking to you. And thank you, Shaw Contract, one of our favorites.
And thank you to everybody for joining us today.
Thank you.